Hello dear students, welcome back to Kingdom Animalia Chapter 4 Session 9. Today's class we are going to study a new phylum called Phylum Arthropoda. Before starting today's class, I just want to give you a brief, short flashback of what I did in my first class because I want to mention a point for you. Let me share the screen for you and then start my class. Well, students, in my first class, if you remember, I gave you introduction and I also said there are some bases to classify animals into different phylum, right? So why am I telling that one? Because in my previous class, we studied phylum Annelida and we came across a new term which was not explained to you on my first class in that introductory class. Well, dear students, if you recall my first introductory class, especially this slide which is there in front of you now, we discussed different levels of body organization, cellular, tissue, organ and organ system level. Symmetry also we studied. What is that? Asymmetry, radial and bilateral. Diploblastic and triploblastic conditions we discussed. Coelom, three types of coelom we discussed, acoelomates, pseudocoelomates and eucoelomates. This point was kept pending. Segmentation of the body. In my previous class, phylum Annelida, we studied what is that segmentation means. It is also called as metamerization. Metamerization, where the body is equally divided into many segments called as metamers, and the phenomenon is called as metamerization. So this point is also completed in phylum Annelida, that is in my session 8. Now, the last point is still pending. This I will tell you regarding this notopod, not now because you'll get confused. Regarding this, I will explain to you after 3 to 4 phylums. So without wasting time, we'll enter into my today's class, session 9, Phylum Arthropoda, Chapter 4, Animal Kingdom. Now, Phylum Arthropoda, you can just look at in the right side of this slide. Just this slide is just a reminder for us that we studied phylum Porifera, second Coelenterata, then third Ctenophora, fourth Platyhelminthes, fifth Aschelminthes, sixth Annelida. Now we are into the 7th phylum of animal kingdom, that is phylum Arthropoda. So why have I showed you this particular slide? Because if anyone have missed my previous class, attend in this order and then attend this session. Speaking about phylum Arthropoda. Phylum Arthropoda is a Greek term meaning the word arthros refers to jointed, and poda already, like in phylum Protozoa, pseudopodia, poda means what? Foot in English. But here specifically in Arthropoda, I want you to keep an alternative term in your mind rather than the word foot, that is appendages, a new term. What does this appendage mean? Jointed means you got to know, and what is this appendage? We see these animals now. I have put some colorful animals. All are live, means all are photographs of animals, arthropods in general. You take any animal. So here the first one, you can see a beetle. This one, you can see a beetle here. You can see a scorpion, spider, a lobster or a prawn, and centipede, millipede, crab, prawn, etc. You concentrate on any of this animal, you can see every animal is having a antenna, leg, and if you take prawn, it is having different types of legs. Here also you can see This is clear cut, I believe. This one, and yeah, this antenna. You take any of this structure, antenna, mouth parts, leg, all these structures are outgrowth from the main body. Main body in the side ಅಲ್ಲಿ outgrowths ಬಂದಿರ್ತದೆ. See this. First one, if you take, this is the main body of this beetle. These are all outgrowths. And if you see these outgrowths, they are all segmented. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, jointed. Take antenna, leg, mouth parts, any of this, they are jointed. For example, I'm drawing a leg. The leg is attached and jointed like this. See, concentrate. You take antenna, you see there, antenna is also jointed. You take the mouth parts are not clear, but here you can see a bit. This one, mouth parts, if you take, they are also jointed. So that is the main character of phylum Arthropoda, that the appendages of the body are segmented. That's why this phylum draws the name Arthropoda. Understood? With this introduction, we'll start today's class. Arthropoda means jointed and legs, jointed appendages. Be specific. Jointed appendages. Appendages covers everything: antenna, mouth parts, legs, and any other outgrowth in the body. Not only the foot, the other appendages are also jointed here. That is very, very important to keep in mind. We'll go to the general characters or salient features. The first one, you can see insects, arachnids, crustaceans are the members of largest phylum of creatures on planet Arthropod. Andre, in the animal kingdom ali Arthropoda ne ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾದ phylum ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. Arthropoda is the largest phylum of animal kingdom. That is the meaning of this first point. Insects, you will be knowing the one which can fly. Keep one thing in mind, insects are the only arthropods which have the ability to fly. Only insects can fly out of all the non-chordates and all the arthropods. Arachnids and crustaceans, a slightly standard term for you to understand, but you can see this example here. Arachnids means the arthropods which are having 8 legs. Scorpions and spider come under this arachnida. It is a subdivision of the phylum. Crustaceans means the arthropods which are found in water. The common one I'm taking of prawn, crab, lobsters. They all are called crustaceans. Okay. Now, first point is clear for you, I believe, and moving on to the next phylum. Arthropods have external shell, hard external shell called as exoskeleton. Hope if you are a non-vegetarian, if you have consumed crab, you can make out the body outside is having a hard structure. That is the exoskeleton in crab. And even if you take prawn and lobster, outer covering will be hard. Even you can take the first diagram, this one, first picture. This is also having a hard shell outside. They are all called as exoskeleton. So arthropods are protected externally by a hard exoskeleton, because this exoskeleton will cover the soft segmented body. As I said, from previous phylum only we are studying, they exhibit organ system of body organization, organ system level of body organization. So this is an advanced character. In future phylum also we will go through the same point. That means they have well formed organ system in their body. Not all, but whatever the organ system is formed, organs are formed, they are having a better formed system. They are bilaterally symmetrical. You know what is bilaterally symmetrical? When you cut the animal only through central median axis, you will get 2 equal halves. One half is the mirror image of the other. You can see this diagram, which I'm going to encircle now. A prawn or a lobster, if you take this one, you can see there is a blue line at the center. This side half, left side, and the right side half are equal to one another. Only in this central median plane, if you cut the animal, you will get two equal halves. One half is the mirror image of the other. This is bilateral symmetry. Triploblastic, the organism's body is made up of three germ layers: outer ectoderm, inner endoderm, and middle mesoderm. And whenever we speak about this triploblastic nature in animals, I said you to immediately comment on the coelom condition of the body, and the coelom condition from the previous phylum itself is coelomate, means they are having true body cavity. You can also call them as eucoelomate. Coelomates or eucoelomates. Any one term you can use, but better stick on to eucoelomate word. If you see, the coelomic cavity is blood filled, okay, and that blood we call it as hemolymph. Hem means blood. This point simply tells us that arthropods do not have blood vessels formed. The blood will be circulating in the spaces between the organs. Such type of circulatory system we call as open type of circulatory system. So in arthropods, this is an important point. Open type of circulatory system is there. Moving on to the next point. The body of arthropods are covered by chitinous cuticle. Covered by chitinous, the word cuticle has been missed out. C-U-T-I-C-L-E. Cuticle means external covering. Chitin is a structural polysaccharide. It is a carbohydrate which forms the outer covering of arthropods, which is not elastic. And as the young one grows into adult, the larva grows into adult, this outer covering, which is non-elastic, made up of a structural polysaccharide or a carbohydrate, will be cast off. It will be shed off. It will be shed off, and a new chitinous cuticle will be formed to accommodate the growth. This process is called as ecdysis or molting. This word is missing from your textbook. A very, very important point, but it is not there in the textbook, so I am not giving that point to you. Actually, that is a very important point in Arthropoda. The old exoskeleton will be cast off or shed off, and a new exoskeleton will be formed during their metamorphosis or development. This is called as molting or ecdysis. I'll just write that spelling. Molting or ecdysis. Both these terms are not there in your textbook, so you need not remember that one, but it will be helpful for you to write any of the entrance examination. And the body, if you see, body of these arthropods, if you see, it is having a standard division. They will be having three parts usually. That is, you already studied in your school. Head, that is actually, head is in the ventral side. Now this part is thorax, and this part will be abdomen. This is a standard division. Almost all the arthropods body will be divided into head, thorax and abdomen. So what is this head, thorax and abdomen? In previous phylum we saw the body is getting compartmentalized, segmented, metamers. So these metamers towards the anterior region, few metamers or few segments fuse to form head. Middle region, few segments will fuse to form thorax, and at posterior part, few segments fuse to form abdomen. So this segmentation will happen in a standard way in case of arthropods. As I mentioned, I can link points now. I can link the point 5th and 7th together. There is an open circulatory system. That's why the coelomic cavity is blood filled with blood. And they do not have any blood vessels, so the blood will be circulating in between the spaces of the organs. We have discussed this many number of times from my beginning class. You have to mention just what? they have open type of circulatory system. Enough. Respiratory organs are gills, book lungs, and tracheal system. A very important and unique point in arthropoda. These terms you come across only in arthropod. You have to just mention what are the respiratory organs in arthropods: gills, book lungs, and tracheal system. Here I have shown you, I have taken a diagram of enlarged view of earthworm's tracheal system. So not earthworm, I'm sorry. Earthworm belongs to phylum Annelida. This is honeybee. If you see honeybee, this blue color structure you can see, side, there will be small opening in the abdominal side. Lateral side, there will be small openings. I am circling it off. From these openings, air enters into this, and there is a system. You can see a pipe-like system, duct, AC duct, AC duct or AC channels. Like that, the air enters through these spiracles and pass into a duct-like system called as tracheal system. Don't worry, diagram is not required. Just for your understanding, I have put this diagram. Okay, so tracheal system, this word also will come only in arthropoda. So the respiratory organs are gills, book lungs, and tracheal system. Just you have to read that line and memorize. Sensory organs like antennae, eyes. Eye can be of two types: compound eye. Compound eye will be having numerous eye in a single eye structure. And statocyst. Statocyst will be a lobe-like structure. Really, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗುಳ್ಳೆ ತರ ಒಂದು structure ಬರ್ತದೆ. And its exact function is not studied, but still they say this statocyst helps in balancing the animal. Hence, statocysts also are called as balance organs, and this is once again a unique point that you will not come across in any other phylum except arthropoda. The sensory organs are antennae, eyes, statocysts, or balance organs. A very important question indeed. Excretion takes place through a specialized structure that are found only in arthropod. Specialized structure found only in arthropod. For example, I'll mention you in phylum Platyhelminthes, specialized cells were called as flame cells, which were taking part of excretion and osmoregulation. But in arthropoda, especially in insects, there is a specialized structure called as Malfigian tubules. They are called as what? Malfigian tubules. So you can see this is stomach of digestive system. This is digestive system, stomach you can see, and then it is followed by intestine. Stomach ide, stomach admel intestine ide. You can see here numerous hair-like or finger-like structures. These structures are called as Malfigian tubules, and these Malfigian tubules helps in osmoregulation and excretion. No need of drawing the diagram. Only you have to remember Malfigian tubules helps in osmoregulation and excretion only in case of arthropods, specifically in insects. They are mostly dioecious. Dioecious is the other name where male and female are separate. The sexes are in separate individuals. Male separate irtade, female separate irtade. Okay. Fertilization is usually internal, means the gametes, there is only sexual type of reproduction here. Male sperm will come and fertilize into female reproductive tract. Inside female reproductive tract, male sperm and female's egg will fertilize. That's why the fertilization is called as internal. This one we have already discussed. 11, 12 point we have already discussed many number of times. They are mostly, almost most of them are oviparous. Oviparous means egg laying. After fertilization, they lay eggs. Hence, these organisms or arthropods are called as what? Oviparous. Andre egg laying animals na navu oviparous anta karitivi. I'll show you a photo of that one. Development may be direct or indirect. That is also we have discussed many number of times. Direct means the young ones will be almost like the adults, but they will be small in size. They won't be sexually matured. But what is indirect development? Indirect development means from egg to adult stage, they undergo numerous larval stages in their metamorphosis. and the young ones will not be similar to that of the adults. Now here I said you oviparous, egg laying. This picture you can see. This insect is oviparous. Idu nodi egg lay ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. That's why these organisms are called as egg laying. So these are the general characters of phylum Arthropoda, a very important phylum from your examination point of view. You can pause this screen, take a screenshot and make a notes and read or neatly write in your notes. Okay, I'll move to the next slide. Now here from point 8 to 14 you can pause this screen, take a screenshot and make a note of it or write in your notes neatly. I'll move to the next slide now. Now they will ask examples in examination. You may be knowing many examples which is not mentioned in the textbook, but don't try to write that in the examination. Only few are given and I want you to write only the common names, not the scientific name. They ask examples as mention any two economically important insects which is beneficial for human. Most of you will be commonly knowing silkworm, reshme hula. Okay, from this silk moth or silkworm we will extract the commercially important silk which is very useful for human. And also there is lac. Lac will be used in cosmetics and varnishes and all. Lac will be very important. So this is an example for economically important insects. And also you can see honeybee. Okay, honeybee, from honeybee also we extract honey, honey wax, etc. So honeybee, silkworm and lac insect, these are the three mentioned examples in your textbook. Better you stick on to only these three examples. Diagram or photo is not required for your examination. Given examples for vectors. What are vectors? Vectors, if you take in biology, physics also you will study that word, but in biology vectors you can keep in mind as carrying vehicles, a common name, or else you can also use the word disease carriers. Why carrying vehicles? Because when you come to second PUC you are going to use this vector word in biotechnology also. So I just gave you a name, carrying vehicles. In biology you can call them as disease carriers. Whenever I ask a question in the class, what causes malaria, everybody will tell sir, female Anopheles mosquito. Yeah, that answer should be only till your 10th standard. Now here malaria is not caused by female Anopheles mosquito, but it is caused by an organism or a microscopic protozoan called as Plasmodium. This information is not required for you for time being, but still I'll explain. Plasmodium, because this actually causes the disease malaria. So we call this in medical term or biological term, we call it as pathogen. Patho means disease and gen means to cause. But female Anopheles mosquito we call them as vectors. Understood? If you study malarial disease, Plasmodium is the disease causing organism, whereas female Anopheles mosquito is the vector, that means the disease carrier. Understood? Now you may be clear with the term vector. There are three examples: Anopheles mosquito, Culex mosquito and Aedes mosquito. All these three mosquitoes causes different types of disease in humans. So these are all examples for vectors. There are many, but this is mentioned in your textbook. And give an example for gregarious pest. Still last year most of them were not knowing like what is a locust. It looks like a grasshopper, this one. They are the deadly eaters on paddy fields, wheat fields, etc. They're the gregarious pest. That's why I use the word deadly, common word. They will come invade the fields and go on eating all the leaves. Once all the leaves are eaten, there will be no photosynthesis and there will be no crops. So they are the dangerous pest for us. Now, what is a pest again? Pest, once again, you have to know biologically the term. Pest means the organism which causes harm to your livestock. Harm to your livestock. Livestock means what? It can be collected paddy, it can be collected ragi, harvested tomato irbodu. Understood? It can be anything. For example, if you are growing fishes, if a bear comes and eats, if a kingfisher comes and eats, kingfisher or bear is a pest. If you stored your paddy in a godown and if rat comes and eats off, rat is a pest. And for tomato, if caterpillars, kambli hulagalittu andre kambli hula banbittu pest. Pest is an organism which causes harm to your livestock. So this locust is an example for gregarious pest. And finally, give an example for living fossil. What is a fossil? Fossil, most of the students what they give the answer is dead and decaying word. Very, very wrong. Dead and decaying word should not come in fossil. Fossils are the old remnants of an organism, plant or a tree or an animal. It is a remnant, preserved parts of dead animals or plants or trees. They are called as fossils. Fossils need not be only animal or a plant. It can be a part of an animal, it can be a teeth of an animal, it can be a footprint of an animal, it can be just a bone of an animal, it can also be the dung, excretory waste of an animal preserved till date. Understood? Living fossil, the animal which is still living and it is called as a living fossil is called as limulus. It is also called as king crab. So now, to just brief you, general characters of arthropoda, you can just mention the sentences, no need of giving a explanation. And when it comes to examples, they may specifically ask you the question, give the examples for economically important insects, give examples for vectors, give examples of gregarious pests, give example for living fossil, a direct question. You have to give example only which is there in your textbook, not any other textbook. Understood? Out of the textbook, you need not give any example, or whichever you know from TV or whichever other sources or Google, don't give any external examples. Stick on to what is there in the textbook. This is a very important phylum, Arthropoda, and I'm going to sign off from my session 9, chapter 4, Kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda. Thank you. Study well.